Welcome to today's Explainer. We're doing something a little bit different and, frankly, deeply fascinating today. Usually we take massive data sets or sprawling articles and just kind of compress them down. But today, we're going in the exact opposite direction. We're going to perform a forensic deconstruction on a single, highly isolated digital artifact. I want you to imagine being a digital archaeologist hundreds of years from now, finding just one tiny fragmented shard of institutional communication. We've got just 2 lines of text extracted from a file, and we're going to extract the profound meaning, the structural architecture, and the hidden narrative embedded entirely within its formatting.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's a fundamental question for any focused learner. What can we actually learn when all we have is a document reference code? I know. We're spending an entire explainer dissecting literally 2 lines of text, but bear with me here. Because if you strip away the body paragraphs, the signatures, the letterheads, and all that context, does the raw structural skeleton of a file tell a story on its own? You might think a few characters and numbers are just, administrative white noise, but as we're about to see, a mere fragment of a file can absolutely reveal the immense scale and rigid hierarchy of the system that created it.
Section 1. The MemoDocs artifact.
So, the file name memo.docx is almost aggressively generic, isn't it? In the digital world, file names are our very first clue, and a title like memo.docx is completely ubiquitous. It's the default. It implies a raw, unfiled state, perhaps an in-progress draft or a template, just sitting in a bureaucratic environment so massive that the file hasn't even been given a unique identifier in its title yet. It's minimalist, it's a total blank slate. But, as you'll see, the contents inside that container tell a very different, highly specific story.
Here is the exact, unedited source text we're analyzing today. Memorandum DM Urud 1, 2026, 1911. I really want you to just linger on the visual weight of that for a second. Look at the all caps, look at the heavy, bold formatting. This isn't just some casual note passed between colleagues. No way! This text demands your attention. It's visually loud, specifically designed to stand out at the very top of a page and project absolute, uncompromising authority.
Section 2. Anatomy of the header.
Let's start with the very first word, memorandum. By definition, a memorandum is an internal, institutional directive. Basically, it's how a system talks to itself. The bold presentation and the all-caps capitalization you see right here, those are deliberate design choices. They signify that the document's intended purpose is formal, official, and likely binding. It totally sets a tone of compliance before you've even read a single sentence of context. Section 3. Parsing the alphanumeric code. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we're going to dissect the complex string right after that header. Notice the connective tissue of this code, the hyphens. By visually isolating these hyphenated clusters, we immediately see a hierarchical classification embedded right there in the string. It flows naturally from left to right, going from broad categories down to highly specific, granular data points. These hyphens aren't just random punctuation. They're essentially the architectural walls separating different departments, timelines, and filing cabinets within this unseen organization.
Let's really look at the character composition here. We start with DM, a 2-letter alphabetical prefix. What does that mean? Department memo? Director's mandate? Then we hit OUHR1, this dense, 7-character alphanumeric cluster. This absolutely points to a highly specialized subdepartment or a specific institutional wing. The sheer length of OUHR1 suggests an organization large enough to require deeply complex, multi-layered department acronyms just to avoid internal collisions. And finally, we end with 2 distinct 4-digit numeric sequences.
Let's zoom in dramatically on that first numeric sequence, 2026. This is our temporal marker. It effectively tethers this digital artifact to a precise year. The inclusion of the full 4-digit year confirms that this institution operates on a scale where long-term record-keeping is absolutely paramount. They aren't just filing things by month, They're archiving across decades.
And then we have the final suffix, 1911. So what does this number actually represent? Well, it's highly likely a sequence. If this is a chronological identifier within the 2026 timeframe, consider the sheer scale of what we're looking at. Generating 1,911 official memorandums within a single department or a single year implies a staggering volume of administrative output. That's a lot of paperwork. This isn't some small business. This is a monolithic entity. So the crucial takeaway here is that this single string of text has just revealed the size, the timeline, and the complexity of its origin. It's like a giant puzzle coming together.
Section 4. The curious text repetition.
The mystery deepens when we actually look at the source excerpt as a whole, because it doesn't just list the header once, it lists it twice. Line 1 and line 2 are completely identical. And this brilliantly illustrates how the source excerpt is an exact duplicate loop. Every single bolded letter, every hyphen, perfectly mirrored.
So why does this exact duplicate loop exist in our source artifact? Is it a bureaucratic echo? Maybe a visual representation of a carbon copy meant for two different recipients? Or is it simply a typographical glitch, like a stuck cursor inside memo.docx? Or think about this, is it a deliberate structural reinforcement? Literally, a header and a subheader stamped twice to ensure the classification is utterly impossible to ignore. In digital forensics, repetitions like this are rarely meaningless. They are artifacts of the system's underlying process.
Section 5. The missing context. Let's move to and see how this builds our final narrative arc, focusing on the massive void left by what is emphatically missing from this source text. We are staring into a void. Think about it. A standard memorandum is a vehicle for information. It has a to, a from, a date, a subject, and critically, a body of text containing an actual directive. But here, we have none of that. We have no author, we have no recipient, we just have the filing code screaming into the digital emptiness in bold, capitalized letters. The complete absence of the actual message totally amplifies the mystery of this isolated header, turning what should be a mundane piece of admin into a really compelling puzzle.
Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer. We've deconstructed the authority, the hierarchy, the timeline, and the immense scale of the system that generated this file. But the ultimate question still remains. What directive was so incredibly important that it required the creation of Memo 1911? What does the void beneath DMUHROD 1, 2026, 1911 actually contain? It's a stark reminder that every piece of data, no matter how small or isolated, is just the cover to a much larger book, waiting to be opened. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning the details, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.